Right, so in this part of the tutorial is going to be the final part of our Android tutorial altogether. So we're going to go ahead and first run it to see if it works properly. And if it does, we're going to fine-tune the design to add some color and kind of modify stuff like the text size and center everything and just kind of make it look better because right now it looks kind of gray and boring. Alright, so that should be the last of the functionality. We have a very, very long file here. So let's go ahead and run it. So I'm going to right click on the kinematics droid the droid file, rather the folder, and I'm going to go run with. I'm going to select the Nexus S, and actually before I do that, I'm going to go to the Xamarin Android player, and I've got my Nexus S selected, and I'm going to click the start button. So that just starts up our emulator here. So I have the Nexus S downloaded and installed, but you can download and install any number of these emulators here. Okay, so now I can run it. So again, on the .droid folder, I'm going to run with the Nexus S. I'm just going to open up that emulator here. I'm going to unlock it, and it's just going to load the application into this little emulator here, just as if it was a real phone. So the build looks successful, so we don't have any errors on in our code, and it should have a pretty boring appearance, which we will change in a minute here once we see that it's actually working fine. There we go. So it took a while to load, but that's okay. So as you can see, things are a little small, but we can choose a missing variable from the spinner. Let's say acceleration. Let's choose a calculation. This one has acceleration in it. There you see the hints get set. So let's say final velocity of 56, initial of 5, and a displacement of 8. We'll hit calculate, and we get this answer here. Okay, so that's apparently our acceleration there. Okay, so now we know that it's working fine. If we want, we can do something like final velocity, and then we have this. So we're going to get rid of those fields there. Okay, and VI, A, and T. So what we can do is we can do something like initial of 5, acceleration of 4, time is 8 seconds, calculate, and yeah. So there we go. So we know it's working fine. So what we can do is we can just minimize this, we can stop running it, and we can go ahead and touch up the design. So let's go back to the main.axml. And okay, so let's take a look at this. The first thing I want to do is I want to set a background color. So I just clicked on the background, I'm going to style and background color, and I'm going to select a purple this time. I don't usually use these purples, but you know, got to mix it up every once in a while. Okay, this button, I'm going to set the background to be black, or pretty close to black. In fact, yeah, I'm going to have it as black. Okay, and so that's fine, that's fine. The spinners, unfortunately, we can't really do a whole lot. We can change the background colors if we want, and I'm going to do that, but we can't change the text inside. So the text inside is actually white, so I don't want anything that's going to be hard to read the white with. So that's fine. And I'll do the same there. I believe it was 300. Okay, next will be to change the text colors. And I just want to change these all to just a slight off-white. And what I'm going to do is, instead of doing that every time, I'm just going to copy this number. So this is the hex code for that color. And I'm just going to change them all to be that. Don't need the hints there, but on this one I do. So text color I'm going to change, hints I'm going to change. This one, again, the same thing. And for the final field, and the button, and finally the answer field. There we go. Okay, cool. So now we've got the colors all set up. It's time to change the size. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase the size of that a little bit. Increase the size of this a little bit. And we're going to increase the size of the spinners quite a bit because they were just getting cut off. And same with the field sizes. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. It's going to increase the size of the button a tiny bit. And the answer field I'm going to increase quite a bit. So that can be there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the gravity of each one. So when I say that, I mean I'm just going to align everything. For some reason, in Android, they say the gravity is how you align things. I don't know why it's not alignment, but that's just what they decide to call it. So we'll stick with it. Just going to center everything here. And the last one. So this is under widget, under properties. And last of all, I'm just going to change the text size. So you can't really change the text font easily. You could go into the XML file, I think, and change it, but that's a little too much work for now. So we're going to try 15. It's still too small, so we're going to try 20. Okay, and that's good. Just going to increase that size just a tiny bit. Same with this, 20. And again, just a tiny bit, and I'm just going to increase the margin. So if we click on something twice, we can adjust the margins like this. And that just adds a little bit of space between the two. And in fact, I'm just going to increase the margin up there a tiny bit. There we go. Cool. Good stuff. Okay, so text size, I'll change to 20. And yeah, it could even go a little bit. Let's try 25. And we'll have it bold. And in fact, actually, yeah, 25 is appropriate. 25, bold. And this one, 25 and bold. The button, we are going to change this text size to be 30. And this one's definitely going to be bold. And this one we're going to change to 40. And this one's going to be bold as well. Okay, so there we go. That's what our final app looks like. If we want to go ahead and save this and run it again, we'll see the app with a new design. So if you don't like the color scheme, I'm not going to be offended because I don't even know. Feel free to change it to look however you want. This is just something I came up with that I think looks kind of cool because I don't really work with the purples that much. But yeah, I thought it looked good, so decided to stick with it. So you can do initial velocity, it changes up there. Choose a calculation. Let's go with this one. And there we go, we get those set. And again, if we choose something else, then it resets these hints. You see them changing each time. And then we can go ahead and enter some numbers. So, you know, let's say like 54, 7, and 3. And we can go ahead and hit calculate. As you can see, it's kind of cutting off a little bit. And the reason for that is because this for some reason has changed back to the Nexus S. So we need to go ahead and adjust the sizes accordingly. So just going to decrease that size a little bit. Going to decrease the margin there. So I believe I added it on the spinner. So we can go to layout, decrease the margin to 10. Unfortunately, if you want to decrease the margin, you actually have to go into the layout itself to do that. So I'm just going to decrease the size of these fields a little. In fact, a fair bit more. As you can see, they're starting to get cut off. So I'll just go ahead and change the size back to 20. Now, it's a shame this phone isn't a bit bigger. Otherwise, we could have fit more on it. Oh, that almost looks a little smaller than the others. Okay, just as long as it's not getting cut off. And the calculate button, decrease the size of that a tiny bit. And the answer field, I'm going to decrease to be this size. Okay, so there you have it. There's a final product. The last thing I would change is if we go to widget, I just would want to center this text, but I can't even do that. So that's an unfortunate thing about spinners. They're pretty restrictive. But otherwise, this has been the app built all the way through in Android from start to finish. This is our final design. Again, change the design if you don't like it. And if you're confused about any parts, I fully understand. I apologize for having to rush this video a bit, but I could easily go, 3 hours long with this, explaining each step. So just go ahead. A lot of the time was taken up just kind of manipulating calculations and equations, and that's stuff that you can check on your own time as well. But otherwise, we'll begin the iOS tutorial very shortly. Okay, so now we've finished the Android portion of this app. So we built this app from start to scratch in Android, first by designing the layout, then implementing functionality, and then finally fine-tuning the design, and that's what we did in this portion. So by now you should be able to build this app fully from scratch in Android. If you're still unsure about certain parts, I implore you to go back and watch them again. And you should also have a pretty good idea of just how to fine-tune any kind of design in Android. So there are lots of different things we can modify. We can either modify them directly in that main.ixml file, either by going on the layout or by modifying the XML code itself, or we can even call on the fields and stuff in the code itself and modify them that way. Okay, so just get creative, try out some different things, different color schemes, different styles, etc.